California's homeless crisis is surging, and President Trump is threatening to intervene. In a tweet yesterday, he warns, quote, Governor Gavin Newsom has done a really bad job on taking care of the homeless population in California. If he can't fix the problem, the federal government will get involved. This, as the state's population growth has reportedly slowed to levels last seen in the year 1900 because people keep leaving. Chuck DeVore is a former California assemblyman who left the state for Texas years ago. He joins us now. Good morning. Merry Christmas to you. What's going on? A gold rush no more.
Good morning. Merry Christmas to you as well. Yeah, California's progressive left policies are killing the state. The state is dying. Everything is more expensive. Their energy is more expensive. Housing is more expensive. If you want a blueprint of what America will look like if the left takes over, look no further than California. They have half of the nation's unsheltered individuals in one state, in California. The place is falling apart.
Chuck, we want to show you the homelessness in California. It's up 21,306 from 2018. That should trouble everyone in the country. You were once a lawmaker there. What do you believe President Trump should do should he intervene?
Well, the first thing that we have to look at is something called Housing First. This was a policy that was initially rolled out in a limited fashion under President Bush. It was made mandatory under President Obama. And California has gone all in on this failed policy. What it means is if you run a homeless shelter, you can't have any conditions on the behavior of the people in that shelter. In other words, you can have people actively using methamphetamines or using opioids and be in that shelter without any expectation that you're going to have to go through treatment and rehabilitation. Human nature being what it is, people like to have shelter and like to be able to use their drugs too. And the problem with that is that what you're seeing in California and a little bit in Austin, Texas, is that the homeless population is growing because people can have their drug addiction and have a roof over their heads at the same time.
So you mentioned Austin, Texas there. You left California for Texas. What lessons should Texas and really any other state learn from how California's handled this problem?
Well, I think you have to have a multitude of approaches. You can't have a one-size-fits-all policy and expect to have it work. And you're seeing that in California, and unfortunately you're beginning to see that in Austin, Texas. Now, California is failing. President Trump certainly is going to have his work cut out for him because it's very difficult for the federal government to move alone without the state and local governments backing them up. However, I know a lot of nonprofits out in California would certainly love to see a change in policy, and maybe we're going to see that, and maybe we'll start to see a reduction in the homeless population. In the meantime, though, California isn't looking good. You mentioned the population rate is declining. I predict within 2 years, you're actually going to see California begin to shrink in population as people leave the state and go to other places like Texas, where taxes are lower and regulation is less.
Chuck, I want to ask you one last question. That is, since the middle of December, Governor Gavin Newsom has been blaming in part President Trump for the problem out there. Is that fair?
It's not fair at all. Look, Gavin Newsom has been in power for over 20 years as mayor of San Francisco, now as governor. This problem is Gavin Newsom's problem. This problem is the problem of the left and the progressives in California. They can blame President Trump and climate change all they want. All they're doing is desperately trying to shift blame away from their own failed policies. It's not working. California is dying.
All right, says Chuck DeVore, a former California Assemblyman. Thank you for taking time today. We'll be following this.
Thank you.
All right, as Democrats focus on impeachment.